What you gonna do back? Well, World Wide Web. You might not know what's going on.
We just
You
opened
might
up
be walking around here asleep.
to the whole wide
like a
web.
deja vu. Mindset.
Yes, indeed. Like the Open Divine Council meeting in the name of the Divine Creator is long. We're going through some divine instructions.
Oh, that's beautiful. Just to hear that, man, it's good to the ear. You know, when you hear the word divine and divine instruction, you want to make sure you listening.
Divine instructions from America's own, the Honorable Noble Drew Ali, who gave us holy instructions to go to the past and check out our ancient forefathers and these divine instructions that were left behind in these texts. So as we follow divine instructions, we're going to gain guidance. And so we're opening and continuing on the road of Asia.
Right
on the Silk Road of Asia. We traveling the roads, the highways and the byways. We upon Confucius. That was the instructions for us to honor prophets. And so Confucius is one also. So we're going to be checking out book 14. We're going to continue on to book 14. Okay, the other way. Okay. Book 14. So what we're going to do is so all we're going to do is give a grand glory to the grand creator. All praise be to Allah. Yes, to all. And to all these eternal messengers who came and laid down a portion of that salvation. In these times, our people need salvation.
That's true.
What they have what they have has no saving power.
No.
So what is provided is some saving power.
Right on.
We're going to start with a little beginning of Confucius. So we have been involved from book 1 to book 2, and we've been going over government, virtues. And so as you see, the way still continues as far as east as it comes to the west. As we say the holy name, Allah Sufian. So these things have been hidden in the Far East. So as by our own Egyptian master, we must understand why these teachings in a time of need, in a time of deprivation, why are we here? And the whole world shall be in this continued condition that it's in until the Asiatics of America wake up and start following the way of their forefathers and their foremothers. So we finna dive into instruction number 1. the Analects of Confucius. 1. Shein asked, what is shameful? The master said, when a state follows the way, one receives an official stipend. But when a state is without the way, to receive an official shameful. Free of high-handedness, bragging, enmity, and craving can be termed humaneness. The master said, it may be termed difficult, but as for humaneness, I don't know about that. We're looking at virtue. We're putting virtue under the magnifying glass. Those who are in official positions, men. We see none of this unbalance in life or unfairness in life. Where we're seeing separation of powers. Where's the checks and balances? Where's the holy government that is sanctified for salvation of North of America? So when we talk about the higher self is a part of our salvation.
Right on.
This is how we came back to learn our divinity and to learn our forefathers and foremothers' ancient and divine creed. Number 3, the master homes for the comforts of home does not deserve to be called a man of station. 4, the master said, when the state, that could be the 50 states, that could be the state of mind.
As you elaborating on that, because that's what I was thinking about.
We want to understand the salvation we was given as our divine creed. Right. And all are. This is what we have for our divine birthright.
Right on.
For guidance and salvation and protection.
Beautiful.
So all we needed to know was the of the universe. See, these things were brought to us by our divine honors, who brought forth teachings from the holy city of Al-Bakar. Those angels who protect the holy city. So when we're talking about the holy city, we are talking about these same teachings carried forth from east, from west to east. And we can find ourselves right in the midst when it comes to holiness. 4, as we continue, the master. Oh, yes, please.
I've been holding my hand.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But I know that when you talk the word state of mind, state of condition. When we let's deal with state of mind, because let's start with that. Because see, somebody had an idea cooking, and they was getting ready to set up some states that they were gonna call names, like Florida, like Georgia. Just come right on up, no matter which way you're going, west or east. State of mind, state of condition. Somebody had a plan for you for you to go to, because see, he was getting ready to set up shop. It's about like walking in a candy store, but the candy store it's got bad stuff in it. But you delighted. And this what not captivated. And now ain't nobody worried about no divine truth. They cool with the way everything is. That's why you hear nobody rebuking or anything. It's the carnival. So we dealing with state of mind, state of condition. Now somebody done drawn up lines and walls and named this state, and named this, and then draw up them a constitution that they were gonna run and that was gonna govern every state. And you know, it just beginning with a state of mind. And if you ain't careful, somebody will have your mind in a bad condition.
That's right.
That's all I have to say to that.
Well, that's beautiful. And there's some things that we could go into, not that honors have been delivered. We are aware that we are suffering.
That's right.
At least I'm aware. And that we need to understand that the teaching for salvation
Right on.
was in the name of salvation,
Yeah.
but was not in the name of our forefathers.
There you go.
So anything not
There you go.
in the name of our forefathers
Right
is not ours.
Right on.
So we do and foremothers. So for statement you made earlier about the states, and when the people have been played with the wrong state of mind, then they're gonna have a severe state of condition.
There you go.
And this severe state of condition that our people are in is identity theft. They have lost access the sanctity of their forefathers' way.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they have chose to serve gods of Europe.
That's right.
Pale skin images.
Yeah.
Which don't look like you.
That's right.
Nor the descendants. So honor to your mother and father is honor to all your mothers and fathers.
Right on.
So where did this come from?
Yes, what I'm talking about, a state of mind. Somebody in the kitchen cooking up something.
And so they want us to believe that the people of America was enslaved.
That's right.
Brought over by boats.
Yep.
And totally enslaved to be shame where no nation will come by justice.
Ain't that a shame? Ooh-wee. Where was the United Nations when we need it?
Attaching the people, attaching to names that allude to slavery.
Yep.
We have to understand there are some names that you can pick up in life that make.
That's right.
So everything so ain't good. So we got to know what is not good. What's good comes from the great God, who is the creator of all existence. So we have to understand when it comes to people as a collective, our vast estate has been stripped away. But cultures have swooped down to feed on the dead.
That's what I'm talking about. Right.
And we have to understand this is due to not having the names of your forefathers and your foremothers, and handling issues and other people names
Right on.
of their forefathers.
There you go.
And their foremothers.
There you go.
We have and a divine salvation that is strictly for us, and it's the only way that we can find self, and it's the only way that we can know self. We begin to unlock, as they say, as his God unfolds.
There you go.
So as we need to bring in that we are returning the church, Christianity, and Freemasonry back to Rome.
Right on.
We are no longer under Romanism.
Right on.
We are under Islam,
Right on.
the divine creed of Sufian Islam of our forefathers and foremothers, who was of Maraba descent. So, beautiful angel Isa was Maraba. Our beautiful angel Noble Drew Ali was Maraba. Muhammad, our beautiful angel. From Buddha to all the holy and divine prophets, from Adam to Ali. These holy names and memories is our forefathers. And we must understand the teachings they left behind for us to have a belief system. We have the Al-Sufiyana, which is the study of self-knowledge and self-mastery. So in order for us to understand that, we must return what is not ours to its owner.
Right on.
And we keep it in good order.
Right. Yeah.
So what is seizures? We return to seizures. What is the divine creators? We return to the divine creator.
Right on.
So we want to understand what has risen is the title to our vast estate. The title to our vast estate is Al-Sufian, Moorish American Muslim. This is the Asiatics and the Muslims' divine origin. So when we hear things like the Garden of Eden,
yeah.
When we hear things like Mecca,
yeah,
we need to understand that in its original name, that these were the places of our holy and ancient forefathers and foremothers, who was Maraba al-Dukana. So, and they left us the title to our vast estate to have all power in heaven and our words by Christians. Behold, for I have risen from the dead with gifts for men. I bring to you the title of your vast estate. We have been missing the title to our vast estate, which is our This is our divine constitution.
Beautiful. The right constitution. How about that?
Yes. In bylaws for our divinity and our divine creed that was left behind for us to understand and learn through self-knowledge and self-restraint through the teachings of the higher self and the lower self. And these things will be brought forth. It says in our teachings that the blessed are the ones that are pure in heart. We was told holy instructions. Keep your mind and heart pure with love. So these things is what comes from that purity. That all power has returned for our salvation for all of the world, of the dunya. All people is the divine creator, Al-Nusar. So when you hear the Nasar or the Nasara or the Nasarim, this is referring to the people as a whole. You have to understand that we all are stewards. Magnificence that we all are accountable by way we have the ability to think. We have the ability to implement fair law at any given time. Divine law has always been in existence and promulgated since its beginning, natural law included. So these things can be enacted and enabled by the proclamation of self-identity and knowing. So this is a time when self must know its identity in order to reclaim your title, to proclaim your self-identity. You are an Al-Sufian, Moorish American Muslim of North America, Asiatic mastermind. These are the things that our ancient forefathers mystery system. We have been returned the ancient Egyptian mystery system as self-mastery. The ancient Egyptian self-mastery system was returned to us through our honorable angel, Noble Drew Ali. And these things we have to understand, we was given of the missing years. That is not in the Bible. Not in the Bible. This is not in the Bible. This is how they strip. Because they took it out of the Bible, omitted, and therefore excluded, and now occluded. Until now it's found. But now the divine creator have given us, all of us, our divine rights of use back. Name of the divine creator, who is the first magnificent. These are very things important as we continue on.
That's some powerful stuff you're laying out there. I'm just hoping that they have ears to hear, because you giving them some truth, and this is what they need to return to.
Yes.
That right there. It's time to come home. Return home
to Allah's mastermind. Mind.
That's right.
Our problem.
Yeah. Well, let me say this right here. If you was to ask the peoples out there in internet land, have they mastered themselves and their lives? When I say that, that means that you in control after the holy breath, but just being conscious from. See.
And we are not. And I'm aware of that. And this is why I understand why. Because it takes for self to have something to self-master. And so most don't have nothing to self-master because you need something, a material. And so we don't look within. We look external for the material to work on.
Yeah.
Such as errands, different things.
Yeah.
Teachers that was of the ancient adult mastery system was know thyself. It was the quote of all acts. This was the first law.
That's right.
Written.
Yeah. Know thyself.
Know self. So to know self, you need to have self-knowledge.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
And so when you have self-knowledge, this gives you the ability now to think, reason, and choose.
Beautiful.
Self-master.
Beautiful.
But before that, we don't have Islam representing self-knowledge. This is why we have to be careful into wrong naming.
Yeah.
Because the way are Persians, not Arabians. Arabians are our forefathers. Arabians is not what we have been told by the Romans.
Yeah.
That has a divine origin.
Yeah.
Those who are peace. Murabba comes from Murakaba. When we know these are the ones of peace, As-Salam, Islam.
Yeah.
So due to the Persian, Islam has not a science of self, and that it's been to worship outside of self. And this has been a misconceived, and through the translations of Persian and Babylonian descent, who were the scribes and the priests recording the information that we have today, the Holy Bible.
That's correct.
The Holy Bible is not the word of God. So we have to understand things in its origin. Anything that contains God has to have godliness. Anything godliness has to be cleanliness. Holiness gotta always be in holiness. So if one text is against holiness in the same book, this is not of your divine forefathers. It may be a book about your divine forefathers.
Right on. Right on.
But it ain't the book your forefathers wrote.
That's right.
So what I established is the Sufian. This is the return of forefathers.
Right on.
Uncorrupted.
Right on.
And this is the true Quran. If we was to use the word Quran.
Yeah. But
the right pronunciation of the Quran, the Holy Quran, is the Sufian.
Right.
The fire from heaven.
Right.
The light from above. We read in the Confucius or any Eastern Orthodox text, when you come across the word the way is Sufian.
Yeah. Right on.
These are the ones who have
second name of Allah.
Yes, that is the second name of Allah, which is the way of Allah. And which is the way of the Fatiha. Seeing we have to understand these things so we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So never before has the East of Islam associated self-knowledge with Allah and Allah being within. When it comes to the Muslims of America, we know that Allah is in man. And Allah is in the higher self of man. And that we understand the two wisdoms. We understand the two understandings. The knowledge of the lower self and the wisdom of the higher self. these two is what we call the teaching, or and your higher self, and you will know, and that the Savior of the world, or the Christ of the world, is love. Is al-wadu, and love that comes from above, out of the way of the holy grace from heaven. Of Confucius, we're going to come across the way. So keep that in mind as we remember thyself. Right on. Number 4, instruction 4. The master said, when a state follows the way, be stern in speech, stern in action. When a state is without the way, be stern in action, but consider. 5, the master said, those who have virtue invariably have something to say. But those who have something to say do not invariably have virtue. Those who are humane are invariably courageous. But those who are courageous are not invariably humane. See, it's a deep discernment going on.
It sure is.
And this is how we discern between the lower self and the higher self.
Yeah.
These are the instructions of the holy breath, which is purity and love, divine.
Yeah.
All equal. This is why the name of our divine creator is all. It doesn't exclude anything. It includes everything. And we have to understand what is everything. So this is where we understand through different understandings. To see and know, to remember self. Because we have to raise from man to God to all. See, and this is where we all must take our initial steps into learning, scholarship, adeptship, and mastery. Number 6, non-Goku questioned Confucius, saying, Yah was a skilled archer and could push a bow over dry land.
Goodness gracious, bad.
But neither was able to die a natural death. See, we can be so in tune physically that we disconnect spiritually. That we lose our spiritual wisdom of the self.
That's what we lost. That's what we have lost. And we don't look at the depths of our spirit. We just hear the word spirit, and it sounds good, and you don't pursue it no further.
U and G, however, though they worked the fields in person, gained possession of the empire, the master made no reply. After Non-Goku had left, the master said, a gentleman should be like this, an upholder of virtue should be like this.
Look at him.
So are the rulers that call themselves giving the people salvation, are they upholders of virtue?
My.
Are they in clean hands?
My.
Do you have good faith in their virtue?
No, I don't.
So far, this is what has been given. So all you can do is go off what you know.
Yeah.
Not believe. See, that's the spell. They want you to believe, and not know.
That's right. There's a difference between
self.
That's right. And believe in self. Yeah.
See, because when you know self, it ain't no use of belief in others.
That's right.
Allah alone and alone is your belief. The master said, a gentleman, but not humane. A gentleman, but not. There are some like that. In the experiences. But there's never been a petty man who was humane. Is a criminal humane?
Yes, indeed.
Is there any humaneness in a criminal who has to get caught?
Yeah.
See, we have to question. These are people in government.
Yeah.
They have your riches, and they will never tell you how to access your riches because it don't belong to them.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't have the right knowledge of self, then it belongs to them. Your wealth is in the standards of your name and principle. Your name and principle details if you are owner. So we have to understand there has been a NBC training, and I ain't talking about the broadcast station.
Yeah.
There has been a training to take in the divine creed of your.
That's what's at stake. Yeah.
They gave you the lingo of the NBC, either nigger, black, or color. And now this is where most people.
Yeah, peoples of color. Yeah.
And you won't ever find black as a name of the divine creator. So to call of God and not have a name or follow the principle or the way of the divine creator, that's non-humane. Now we fall into the root of all evil, the lower self. The lower self is the root of all self-unconsciousness. Self is unconscious of self due to the lower self. The lower self is what has been the mystery that has been laid upon our people as God and the devil.
Yep.
That was an ancient understanding for you to not get kicked out of the garden again. For you not to understand how not to be evil. This is why you hear the story Adam and Eve. into the lower self when you were once your higher self. But you forgot and you started putting on aprons. You started putting on signs. You started using symbols. And you forgot consciousness of your higher self. And you begin to fall into the lower. And this is what we have. This is the greatest teachings of all teachers. And this is why no one has heard of wisdom, because wisdom is knowledge of self. Knowledge is the only way that leads to wisdom of the. So what we have been given as teachings or doctrines have not no inclusion. Self is not even. In the Sufian, Sufiana is mentioned. And this text predates all of your colonialized Bibles, including your 1611 KJV.
Right on.
So we must return in the KJV. We are returning the Vulgate. We are returning the Jehovah's Witness. We are returning the Mormons. We are returning the OSP. Returning the Latter-day Saints. We are returning the Baptists. We are returning the over 30,000 plus denominations of Christianity and the church. So we must understand that we have our own way with our own names to call everything. And so as we keep
all that you name and all churches and all, you would think that all these, they hear all these supposed to be holy churches, you wouldn't think we have them. I mean, it's everywhere. Seems like they didn't produce nothing but lying, stealing, killing, and murder. I mean, if we going by the King James, that's what it produced. You got the book. You got the book. And all this shit going on. In some scriptures in there, it'll tell you to do right. And love somebody. Now, that ain't hard to figure out right there. But yeah, you know.
And that's why we need our original way, right, our divine creed.
Right,
because that's for our earthly and our divine salvation.
Right on.
Ain't no other way.
That's right.
But from the way you came.
That's right.
You didn't come from pale-skinned nations.
Right on.
So you can't follow the way of pale-skinned nations.
That's correct.
You have a descent line.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the beginning of what we have known as know thyself.
Right on.
And this was before it was called Islam in the 7th century. It was called know thyself, knowledge of self. And in 7th century, knowledge of self was given a holy name. And that was Al-Sufian Islam. And now we know it as Islamism. Meaning no 101% Islam. No deviation in any type, form, or fashion. From birth to death to deific life is Islam. we use Islam like let's say we use Islam like European nations use amen. Number 8, the master said, if you love people, can you fail to reward them? Do they love us?
Do the government love us?
Do Roman governors love us?
No.
The divine, if you are loyal to them, can you fail to admonish them? You've been loyal to them
all this time. Treated like a dog.
And they tell you to go to the voting ballot.
Yeah.
Not talk to me personally.
Yeah.
But let me send you to come visit me and pay for it all.
How about that?
Because we talking trillions of dollars. And you ain't get a crumb of the slave master's food. So this is what we have to understand and deconstruct it. They deconstructed our holiness and constructed vanity.
That's right.
In the name of something divine and sanctified. That is sacred to us. What holy was. This is what our science is. Our science of Islamism is the study of self-knowledge and self-mastery. Wisdom of the divine, natural product and resource that we will never run out of. We have now made it out the pits of the lower self, where many nations are finna go into because they failed to uphold love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in this universe.
Yep. Would be spread like that.
And so, since the citizens of their governor didn't follow the instructions of divinity, then what goes around comes around. And this is the wheat from the chaff, or the angels in Islam, the angels from the jinn. The master said, when government proclamations were being drawn up, Pishin made the first draft. Shu examined it. Zu, the official in charge of India, and Zycon of Don added the finishing touches.
Look at that. What that remind you of? Should you reflect of the Constitution that they have, that they got, sitting up there on Capitol Hill, for us to live under,
for us,
and live by. Come on, man. Divine people can't live under that.
We are clean and pure community.
Yeah.
A nation of people who are clean. We need pure.
That's what we want.
Teachings.
Yeah.
We already come truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
Yeah.
We don't need a book matching that.
Right on.
We need a book of full of purity, so we can ascend out of the lower self and be at self, because within our higher self is our divine creator, Fatiha Sufian. This is the way home. The way home is through Al-Fatiha. And As-Salam is the entry. This is how we have to understand. When we say I saw long, that is the salvation that I saw brought. So we have to understand these things have been laid down for us to see clearly. Number 10, someone asked about Zycon. The master said a generous man. The person asked about Zishi. The master said that man. That man. The person asked about Guanzong. The master said he was the one who stripped the leader of the Bo family of Payan. A village of 300 households, so that he had to eat meager fare. Though until his death, he never spoke a resentful. That's of discipline, ain't it? The Sufian says, all knowledge of discipline and virtue. Is that not pure? You have to discipline your lower self.
Yeah.
Because remember, the lower self, higher self is not. So self-knowledge is to master the lower self. Wisdom is to be your higher self. (11) The master said to be poor, but not resentful. Poor, but not resentful is difficult. To be rich and not arrogant is easy. Catch that. To be poor, but not resentful is difficult. To be rich and not arrogant is easy. Now you would think it's violations from Rome or Babel, the teachings from Babylon. We have to understand poor and poverty. Poverty is an ignorance. Unless you use it against gluttony and greed. Because this is what you cannot do. So we have to understand the rich is not the same way we look at it in today's time. A lot of material wealth. The rich from our ancient forefathers was who had the wealth of knowledge of self.
Yeah.
Because that will heal you. That will, if you didn't have it, it would kill you. If you do have it, it'll heal you. It'll save you. If you don't have it, it'll put you in harm. This is why we had it. This is why harm is approaching faster and faster, because salvation and redemption comes through perfection. We need the perfect doctrine in order to cleanse ourselves from our previous sins. Yep. This not over. Actions ain't forgiven yet, because the teachings of the knowledge of self has not been given in the sense of. So now this divine constitution for your divine creed and the protection of your divine self is the Sufian. So we got to understand these things, because we now have the knowledge. Now we have the full and the part. The part and the full. It's just like Baki, which is the right name for Wadu, or excuse me, Wudu. When you do part ablution or full ablution. We talking about these are two things that has to be connected as one through knowledge of self. So let's continue. Number 12. The master said, Ming Gong Chu would have been excellent as chief retainer to the powerful Zhao or the Wei family, but he could not have served as a high official even in the little states of Ding and Zhu. Zulu asked about the complete person. The master said, Zong Wu Zong, understanding, Ming Gong Chu's freedom from desire, the valor of Zong Ganzi of Pai, the arts of Ron Ku, embellish them through rites and music. And you have what may be termed, talking about names and attributes. We talk about names and aspects here.
Yeah.
Each name has an aspect to help take you away from the lower self. Yeah. Higher self is freedom. Mm-hmm. The lower self is desire. Mm-hmm. If you ever want to get away from desire, which is the lower self, you're going to need knowledge of your higher self. See, self. And the lower self is the imperfectness. Mm. Because the lower self is perfect. Especially the lower self teachings. And he said, but the complete person of our times need not necessarily be like this. If when he spies again, he remembers what is right. When he spies danger, is ready to risk his life. When faced with old promises, does not forget his past words. Then he can be termed a completed person. Instruction 14. The master questioned Gong Ming Jia about Gong Shu Wen Zi, saying, is it true that your master never spoke, never laughed, and never accepted things? Question mark. Gong Ming Jia replied, who told you that was exaggerated? My master spoke only when it was time to do so. Thus, others did not object to his speaking. He laughed only when he was happy. So others did not object to his laughter. He accepted things only, did not object to his acceptance. The master said, "Is that so?" Question mark. Could that really be so? Question mark. Ooh, look at this.
That's a big deal.
This is how our forefathers was.
They lived a certain way.
We lived a certain way. And it's still in us, but we don't see it as much. So it's
that's right.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
That's what the problem is, keeping up with the Joneses.
You're losing the knowledge of self.
Yeah. Keeping up with the Joneses. That's what it is.
15, the master said, Zong Wu Zong hold up in Fong and asked the ruler of Lu to appoint his brother Wei as heir to succeed him. Although they say he did not press the ruler to do so, I do not believe that. The master said, Duke Win of Jin used the devious methods, not upright ones. Duke Han of Qi used upright methods, not devious ones.
Yeah.
Zalu said when Duke Wan put to death his brother, the Ducal son Jiyu, Xiao Hu died with him, but Guanzong did not. That was hardly humane of Guanzong, was it? Question mark. The master said, Duke Wan 9 times called the other feudal rulers together without employing his. Guanzong's influence made this possible. But as for his humaneness, Zigong said, Guanzong was not a humane man. Was he? When Duke Wan put to death Ducao's son Jiyu, he not only could not bring himself to death with Jiyu, but went on to become prime. We do not know in a position of authority that was murderers, warlords, crusaders, marauders, robbers, and thieves. These men carried the good character of truth and virtue to hold a position of authority.
Man, when I look at all these presidents that run, every last one of them that got in there, that harmed somebody and brought harm to them. As though that's what they're supposed to be doing.
So we know that's not Absalom.
No, but that's all they do. Is harm others. Go over and take their land. What do you think of? It's bad. Raise people taxes. Run up their insurance. They good at all that. Choke out minimum wages where you won't be getting paid to make no money, but they'll be getting money. Now what is that? They don't work for no wages, but they want you to work for it. See that?
And that's why we have to understand the story of Adam and Eve. Not from, but from our foremothers and forefathers. As we was told from the Honorable Noble Drew Ali in the 101 questionnaires, who Eve? They are the human family the Asiatics and Muslims. So when we're talking about, do the children of Adam and Eve have any relation to the angels? Yes. What is the name of the angels today? Asiatics are the ones who was in the Garden of Eden. This is the lower self and higher self, how we called it in old times. Yeah. Old times, all of this was in Asia. Before Africa was a thought, a divine name, Ash. This is where we have to understand how things come to grow and what things was in their origin. Remember, has a beginning. So before the descendants of Adam and Eve, those that was war and what we call the 5 descendants of Adam and Eve: Lucifer, Satan, dragon, devil, beast. Yeah. These are the ones that was kicked out of the holy city. That's when they was pushed into. So they was kicked out of Asia and pushed to Europe, what we call Eurasia. And this is why they are called Caucasian. We talking about Asia and Caucasus. Yeah. The descendants of Asiatics. Yeah. Who made the Caucasus is the Asiatic. Yeah. The Asiatic is the world we live in. World Asia or Asha. This is where we get Asa and things to come. Yeah. When we are understanding these, this is why we have to understand Asiatic and Muslim. Muslim represents the higher self. Those who never go astray from the divine creator. The Muslim is the will of the divine creator. So when we are understanding why the Asiatic and the Muslim is the origin family. And so we call that Asiatic. Modern day, they call it African. Yeah. Asiatics of Africa. So the homeland is considered now Africa. But all of it was considered Asia or a Mexican. Yeah. These are names of our whole. And so we have to understand these things. The divine name of these things are in our Sufian. So more of that is in there. But we done covered that, and we will be covering more of it and bringing it in between the paradigms, showing of all law. So you can find all law's words everywhere once you know what all law is. So and this is where it tells us all words is the wisdom. So this is why we know the knowledge of the higher self. You can only get knowledge of self through all law. It ain't no other way around it. This is how it was designed for our earthly, Asiatic, and our divine Muslim salvation. Sufian. You have to understand what era we are in.
That's right.
You can't look for someone else to become aware of your child. You name your child. Name and principles, you name yourself. You identify yourself. Self-identification, self-revelation, and self-knowledge. These was the 3 steps, or we'll say on the master's carpet. Number 18. Zagong said Guanzong was not a humane man. Was he? When he Duke Wong put to death the Ducal GU. The master, next paragraph, the master said with Guanzong as his prime minister, Duke Wong was able to become leader of the feudal lords and impose order on the empire. Empire. They didn't use the word dynasty. Just remember, Asian people use the word dynasty. They use the word empire. So when we're talking about the next line, even to this day, our people benefit from what he did. Without Guanzong, we will be wearing our hair unbound and folding our robes to the left. The left over the right. We got to understand this. These are teachings that saved the beings in those times at different times. Knowing that the right way was different than the left way. So this is how we will have memory, or how we will remember and keep these things in mind of our higher self and lower self. Now we know it as like the right foot, the left foot. These things are passed down from our ancient origins of self-knowledge. That statement, would you expect the kind of fidelity of ordinary men or women who strange themselves, end up in a roadside ditch with no one even aware of it? That's like our people in North America. No one's aware of it. They, all other nations, pillaging off our lower self-ignorance.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening.
This is a shame because they supposed to be upholding. When you seeing these nations now with these names, or Asiatic or Asian, see, they supposed to be upholding our salon. They are part of our salon. So we are world-class people. See, is world-class. We first-rate, top-notch. So we have to understand, as we continue to read, 19 had been a retainer of Gonshu Wenzi, but later taking a place beside Wenzi in the service of the ruler. When the master heard of this, he said, Gonshu Wenzi deserves the posthumous name culturer. Speaking of Duke Ling of We, the master said that he lacked the way. Ji Kongzi said, if so, why doesn't he meet with failure? Confucius said he has Zhang Yu to receive foreign invows, invocator Tua, to supervise the ancestral temples, and Wang Song Jia to handle military affairs. Given such conditions, how could he fail? Question mark. 21, the master said, he who speaks irresponsibly will find it hard to put his words into action. Xingzi assassinated Du Jiying of Qi. Confucius bathed, washed his hair, proceeded to court, and reported to Du Ai, saying Qing Hing has assassinated his ruler. I request that he be punished. The Duke said, report that to the 3 leaders of the Ji family. Later, Confucius said, I follow the high officials. I would not dare to leave such an event unreported. The ruler said, report that to the 3 leaders of the Ji family. When he went and reported to the 3 leaders, they declined to act. Confucius said, I follow the high officials. I would not dare to leave such an event unreported. Come on, high yourself. Zalu asked how to serve the ruler. The master said, never deceive him. Oppose him openly. This higher self, lower self taught. These are the teachings of the lessons. 24, the master said the gentleman is an expert in imported matters. The petty man an expert in trivial ones. Trifles. 25, the master said formerly people studied to improve themselves. See that the motto, know self, know they do so to impress others. 26, Q Boryu sent a messenger to Confucius. Confucius seated him at his side and questioned him, saying, what does your master do? Question mark. The messenger replied, my master endeavors to lessen his faults, though he is not yet entirely successful. After the messenger left, the master said, what a messenger! What a messenger! The master said, if one does not hold the position, one does not dictate the policies that go with it.
Is that us?
If you in Congress,
if you ain't making the policies,
can you pass the bill?
Can't pass the bill. Have no voice at all.
Do you have contact with the president? Hands on.
No.
Phone to phone.
No,
house to house. Family to family.
No, I don't. He don't even know I exist.
We have it. 29, the master said, it's a pretty good one. The master said, the gentleman is ashamed to let his words outstrip his action. The master said, the way of the gentleman has 3 characteristics that are still beyond me. The humane are never anxious. The wise never perplexed. The brave never afraid. Zingong said, master, that is your own way. Zigong was voicing his opinion of others. The master said, of how wise she is. I'm afraid I don't have time for that sort of thing. The master said, don't worry about others not understanding self. Worry about your own lack of ability.
Yeah, what you can do.
There we have it.
What you understand. What you wise at.
"33. The master said, do not overly weary of deception. Do not suspect others of bad faith. But he who is first to perceive the true situation is the wise one. Said to Confucius, Q, why are you always rushing around? Are you trying to talk yourself into favor? Confucius replied, I will not venture to talk myself into favor. I'm distressed by so much obstinacy. 35. The master said the famous horse K was praised not for his strength, but for his virtue. 36. Someone repaid hatred with virtue. How would they do that? How would that do? Question mark. The master said, then how would you repay virtue? Question mark. Repay hatred with uprightness. Repay virtue with virtue. Repay the lower self with the higher self. Repay the higher self with the higher self. The 7, the master said, no one understands me. Isn't that so? Question mark. Zigong, why do you suppose that no one understands you? The master said, I grudge against heaven. I do not blame others. I study affairs close at hand and try to become in higher matters. Understands self. Gong Bo Lao spoke ill of Zilu to the head of the Ji family. Zifu Jingbo reported this, saying, my master Ji son has for some time been led astray by Gong Bo Lao, but I still have enough influence to see that Gong Bo Lao is executed and his corpse exposed in the marketplace. The master said, if the way is destined to proceed, that is a matter of fate. And if the way is destined to fail, that too is fate. How can Gong Bo Lao change what is fated? The master said, worthy persons retire from the world. The next best retire from the region. The next best retire because of a look. The next best retire because of a word. The master said, there were 7 who did so. Remember the logo circle 7. The 7 vices. Keep in mind for self. Zilu stopped for the night at Stone Gate. The gatekeeper said, where are you from? Zalu said, from the household of Confucius. See, he answered with his ancestry. He didn't say he yellow. The gatekeeper said, the one who knows there's nothing that can be done but keeps on trying. When he was in way, the master was once playing the chiming stones. A man carrying a basket passed the gate of the house where Confucius was staying. He said, someone of strong conviction is sounding the stones. After a while, he said, shallow, all this clanging. If no one understands self, you give up. That's all. In deep water, let your robe get wet. In shallow, hike it up. The master said, quite right. That would be the easy way out. We're still some more. 42, zigzag. The book of documents states that Gao Zong was in his morning hut for 3 years without speaking. What does this mean? Question mark. The master said, why only Galzon? Question mark. The men of ancient times all did this.
Look at that.
I'm talking about even further back of our ancient forefathers. And that word ancient meaning when we was one with the all law. When we was one with all law, this all the things we did.
Yeah.
When the ruler passed under him for 3 years, took all their instructions from the prime minister. Remember these words, minister. We went over.
Yeah.
43, the master said, if those in high positions love ritual, the common people will be easy to employ. Zalu asked about the gentleman. Yep. The master said he trains himself to be respectful. Is that all? Question mark. The master said he trains himself in order to give ease to others. Is that all? Question mark. The master said he trains himself in order to give ease to all men and women. But training himself in order to give that hard to do. One wrong sat waiting for Confucius in a slovenly posture. The master said, young, but not properly submissive, grown, and no one speaks well of you, old, and you still don't die, a real pest. He rapped on Wan's shins with his cane. A young boy of the village of Q was assigned to carry messages. Someone asked Confucius about him, saying, is he improving himself? The master said, I've seen him sit in the seat for adults, seen him walk shoulder to shoulder with his elders. He's not trying to improve himself. He's just in a hurry to be treated as a grown-up.
Look at him.
Ooh, that's a big difference. That brings me to a halt. That's a big difference.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I remember some of your stories where you would say that was back in the day, people couldn't wait to hang with the grown.
Couldn't wait.
To do things of the grown.
That's right. Couldn't wait to get in government. Couldn't wait to get your driver's license. Oh, man. So many things.
Yep, we thought that was the way.
Yeah, we did. We really did. Have been explained.
You right. It wasn't no instructions.
That's right.
Because they wasn't in school and they definitely wasn't in nature.
Yeah. And you know, where everything's been done and said with all the lies and deception, a hell of a mess of time coming up here. All that you were surrounded by people.
Wow.
Everywhere you turn, everywhere you go, that's what it was.
We didn't know that was increasing our habits to become slaves to sin.
That's right. That's right. That's correct.
That's how clever the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans are, who configured the Bible we call the Word of God. Say God wrote this book.
Yeah.
No, the Greeks wrote the book. And the Persians wrote the book. And Rome spread it far and wide. And they all work together. These are the three trinities. So it ain't never been in the form of righteousness. That's why you don't hear about the Sufian.
Yeah.
because that's not a part of the three triangle trinities of ignorance.
That's right.
Christianity and Mithridates. That's what all these threes are, one and the same of. Mm-hmm. And we thought it was the teachings of the Holy One. Yeah. Holy, holy, holy. Yeah. But teachings about the Holy One. So that's a difference. It wasn't a source text. It was an author's interpretation.
Yeah. That's what that was.
And that's what we have as a holy, which is not holy because it's not the source of the divine creator. Mm-hmm. It's the source of the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans.
Yeah.
And who they call God is not who we call.
That's right.
The great God.
That's right. Look here. Lane or we ask Confucius about vowel formation. Confucius replied, with regard to sacrificial planters and stands, I have some learning, but I have never studied fast. The next day he left. When Confucius was in Qing, he ran out of provision, and his followers were so weak that none of them could stand up. Zalou confronted Confucius angrily, saying, does the gentleman have to put up with such hardship? The master said, the gentleman remained firm in the face of hardship. The petty man, when he the master said, Zygon, you suppose that I have studied many different matters and retained them in my memories, don't you? Zygon replied, yes. Isn't that so? The master said, no. I have one thread that links it all together. Dilute those understand virtue or few.
This in BC time.
Yeah. Back there, then it was hard hit.
Yes.
The master said, of those who rule through inaction, surely shun one of who he did. What did he do? Dedicating himself to courtesy. He faced directly side. That was all. Zahang asked about how to get along in the world. The master said, if your words are loyal and trustworthy, and your action sincere and respectful, then even in the lands of the man and moon tribes, you will get along. But if your words are not loyal and trustworthy, and your action not sincere and respectful, then even in your own district or village, you won't get along. When you stand up, see these words plainly before you. When writers act in this way, and then you will get along. John Henry wrote this down on his sash. The master said, how upright shall you walk? When the state followed the way, he was straight as an arrow. When the state was without the way, he was straight as an arrow. What a gentleman, few by you was. When the state followed the way, he had offered. When the states were without the way, he knew how to fold up his hopes and put them away in the bread of his word. The master is someone you ought to speak to, and you fail to speak. You waste a person. If it's someone you ought not to speak to, and you speak, you waste words. The wise man hates people and doesn't waste words either. See, that's what I'm trying to tell Charles H.O. Miller. Right. I don't waste people's time. You don't. You got me mixed up, and you're not putting me in the bucket with the rest of the crowd. The master said, the man of high ideas, the human person, never tries to go in living if it is hard to humanity. There are times when he sacrificed his life to preserve humanity. In this society, oh man, it's just the opposite. I don't know what, I mean, the poison, the rivers, the sea, the air, everything is vital. It goes against as though they pissed off creation. Mm. Okay. Now, the master said, the man of high ideas, the humane person, never tries to grow in living if it is harmful to humanity. There are times when he sacrifices his life to preserve it. Not going to ask how to practice humanity. The master said, a craftsman who wants to do his job must first sharpen his tool. Whatever country you are in, we are science officials who are worthy and become friends with the men of station who are humane. Yang Wu asks about how to order the state. The master said, use the challenge ride in the chariots of the union, wear the caps of the zoo for music to show up, move, do away with the zine tunes and stay away from the artful talkers. The zine tunes are excessive and artful talkers are dangerous. It's just like when we think about our people, we should be told stay down. But we lay down that innovation road and that going on is disaster. The master said the person who fails to take far-reaching precaution is sure to encounter near at hand woe. Far-reaching precaution. The master said it's hopeless. I have never seen the person who loved virtue the way he loved the physical beauty. Mm-hmm. The master said, Zane Winzone, that how he knew that Lasu was a man of worth, but failed to elevate him to a position comparable to him. 15. Be hard on yourself and others. That you stay clear of resentment. Resentment. Some of them are taken to the grave. The master said, people who don't ask themselves, how should I proceed? How should I proceed? I don't with their account. 17, the master said, groups gather together all day, not a touching what is right. Happy, carrying out their head. Don't look for much.
A lot of people words when they speak after spoken, you have heard no words that touch divinity, nor love and truth.
Nope.
And if you trace that statement back, don't look much from them.
Yeah.
Then you trace back the people who you experienced that with. Oh, yeah. You don't get much from
them. I don't even worry about it. You don't see it all, don't hear nothing. So, the master said, gentlemen, make rightness the substance. Practice it through ritual. Display it with humility. Bring it to completion with the gentleman. practice it.
Practice it.
Yeah.
See, the government too late now. Rome could have been practicing it all this time, but now it's too late. We returning the church and Christianity and Freemasonry back to Rome. The property owners.
Yeah. 19. The master said, the gentleman is troubled by his own lack of ability. By the fact that others do not understand. The master said, the gentleman is pained to think that if he had left the world, his name will not be remembered. The master said, the gentleman makes demands on himself, and the man makes demands on others. I guess you can call the government petty because they need to make sure we pay our taxes.
Come on with it now. Petty, I'm talking about petty taxes too.
Yeah.
And it ain't even theirs. And they don't split it with the people. I can see they split it with the people you collect.
Yeah.
But you ain't even collected. They're split with the people. You collected and put in your pockets of your family.
Yeah.
And this ain't your land. Nor the resources
it's
from
amazing how they done plan you out all that.
Right. That's why we keep saying European nation, so you don't forget where you're from. 1,000 miles away from here. Noble Drew Ali already said it. Back. Where they going, they gonna need to take some. Because if that is yet to come. I'm 22.
The master said, the gentleman is proud, but not too contentious. He joins with others, but is not cliquish.
Yeah, cliquish.
That
word in the wild.
So that word, I think I'm not first time seeing that word there.
Yeah.
Boy, they got English. You can come up with some stuff.
You can. It's a cult language.
23. The master said, the gentleman does not esteem a person merely because of his word, nor does he disregard words merely because of their person. Diagon asks, is there a single word that can guide a person's conduct throughout life? Question mark. The master said, that will be reciprocity. Reciprocity. Wouldn't it? What you do not want others to do to you, do not do to others. The master said, in my dealing with others who have I censored, praise, it is because he has been put to test. The common people of today are are the ones who carry out the straight way of the three dynasties. "26, the master said, I can remember when recorded left blanks in their text, when they were unsure of something, or when people with horses lent them to others to drive. No way days, such common customs are no longer observed, are they?" The master said, "Clever words are the disruptor of virtue, like patience in minor matters, and you may disrupt large sins." The master said, "When everyone hates someone, look into the matter carefully. When everyone likes someone, look into the matter carefully." The master said, "A person can enlarge the way, but the way cannot enlarge a person." The master said, "To make a mistake and not correct it is to make a mistake indeed." See? Anything you doing and doing wrong, you don't keep going back and talking it over, say where we get together. You don't keep going, ain't no way unless that's your intention. Ain't nothing left but that. Whether you want to put up with it or not, that's a different story. Huh? Well, I tell you what,
That's what we on.
we can finish it. You want to do it? All right. And that'll be it.
31. The master said, once I went all day without eating and all night without sleeping in order to think. It was no use, better to study. The master said, the gentleman schemes for the way. He does not scheme for food. You might work the fields and still at times encounter hunger. You might study and at times acquire an official stipend. But the gentleman worries about the way. He does not worry about poverty. The master said you might have sufficient knowledge to gain a position, but if you do not have the humaneness needed, needed to hold on to it, then although you gain it, you will surely lose it. You might have sufficient knowledge to gain a position and the humaneness needed to hold on to it, but if you do not administer it with dignity, the common people will not respect you. You might have sufficient knowledge to gain a position, the humaneness needed to hold on to it, and may administer it with dignity, but if your actions do not accord with ritual, the results will be less than good. The master said, the gentleman cannot handle affairs demanding only limited understanding, but he is capable of large undertakings. The petty man is not capable of large undertakings, but he can handle affairs demanding limited understanding. The master said, humaneness is more vital to the people than water or fire. I have seen people die from treading on water or fire, but I have never seen the person who died from treading the path of humanity. The master said, the gentleman is firm, but not stubbornly unbending. The master said, in serving the ruler, attend respectfully to your duties and look on pay as a secondary matter. It is enough if they get the meaning across. Music, Master Neon asked Uncle. When they reached the steps, and Master said, here are the steps. When they reached the seating mats, the Master said, so and so is over here, and so is over there. One talks to a music master. The master said, yes, of course. That's how one assists a music master.
Assist.
Taught to be yourself and to uplift all of humanity. And that's what the teachers of the Honorable Noble Drew Ali stand for. Yeah, nothing else. So we close in the name of the Divine Creator. As-salamu Wadu. Oh, that's my first time looking at the comment box. Peace and love to all.
That's in the comment box.
Yeah.